and we have less than 0.8, this is approaching 0.9. These model can be used, all these 4 indicators, this shows that all these 4 indicators can be used to measure online learning. So that answers the first research question, second and third research question, and the RQ2 and RQ2, RQ4. Okay, let's see. So RQ2, sorry, the 3 figures that I showed just now shows that all the indicators can be used to measure the 3 constructs. For the second question, okay, sorry. For the question, second question, does multimedia instruction influence individualized instruction? So this is the structural model. It shows this is more than 0.2. It shows that multimedia instruction contributes to individualized instruction. However, the direction is negative, which shows that if the students cannot adapt to other like for example, if I'm visual students, I cannot adapt to auditory. If the lecturer lecture, I cannot adapt. It will be hard for me to understand. The negative shows that if the students can adapt to any of the teaching methods with their diverse learning methods, it will show positive direction. Okay, the third research question is, does online learning influence multimedia instruction? The structural model shows that online learning contributes to multimedia instruction, meaning and the loading is very, very high. Usually even 0.2 is acceptable. This is very high because I think web-based online is far better than CD-ROM or whatever other platforms that we use. And I think nowadays internet is a must. So it should, this is, I think the findings is the findings is I can't remember the word. I can't bukan is expected. Okay, is expected. Okay, so the last research question is, does a relationship exist among the three constructs that we were measuring? So according to the final full-fledged model, it shows that online learning contributes to multimedia instruction, as we see in the structural model just now. And when we put all these together, if you can see here, we have -2, now we have almost -0.5, meaning multimedia instruction does contributes to individualized instruction, because with multimedia we can present contents for auditory students, visual students, and we can do scenarios for group learning and individual learning, and even special students who have visual impaired and hearing problems, they can take advantage of multimedia instruction. And we show online learning also have an effect towards individualized learning. So this study shows, the final research question shows that the three constructs are interrelated. So this is the conclusion that negative relationship between II and MI means individualized and multimedia. The negative doesn't mean it have negative effect. It means it have an effect, but the direction is negative, meaning if you can cater to, you can adapt to all of the, because one person doesn't have one learning style, or they have various learning style, but some are dominant than others. So the second one is positive relationship between individualized and online, strong relationship among the three. Okay, finally, so this the study shows that the theories that we are following, we use for the background study, can be empirically proved by using the structural equation modeling method. And this is his thesis, from his thesis for contribution. So since this study uses the same model as my another paper, can we keep the question to after I present my other paper at the end? Okay. Okay. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor. So, I'll present your certificate later on. I'll be back. Before that, I would like for our previous presenter, who would like to present your certificate. You're presenting this.
One now.
Okay, we have with us here our fourth presenter, okay, Mr. Azwin Arif Abdul Rahim, and this paper is written by by Muhammad Amin MB, Associate Professor Rosalidin, Noria Z. Kamis, Nur Azza, Muhammad Nordin, Sofian Hussein, and also Mr. Azwin here. Mr. Azwin is from University Malaysia Pahang and lecturing in Faculty Center of Modern Languages and Human Sciences. So with the paper entitled Confirmation of Mobile Language Learning, Framework Elements for Engineering and Technology. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon. It is still morning, right? Assalamualaikum and good morning, everybody. Okay. Thank you, Independent Chairman, introducing me. Yes. This is actually a part of my PhD paper. So I'm just taking part of it as to share with everybody here. Right. So it's a confirmation of formation. Yeah? It's a confirmation. Right. Now this is the outline. First of all, you have the introduction, and then I'll be talking about in terms of English language teaching, and then technology integration in education. A bit on mobile learning, methodology, findings, and then last will be conclusion. So this is about 20 minutes presentation. So I really hope that we can cover almost everything here. Right, so well, the introduction will be, we're talking about the web-based. I might want to skip this part actually. We're talking about this e-learning, mobile learning, and so on. Alright, so let me focus here a bit, this part. Previous study on learning styles, strategies, and integration of technology indicated that most learning theories widely used is based on assumption that teaching and learning takes place in the classroom. In which, not anymore, right? So we all can agree on that. Alright, and then, sorry. Okay, so that will be the one that I'll be looking at after this. So before we move on, so let me talk to you something on English language teaching. Right, so in understanding language, English language, we look back at this what we call as tree of ELT. Tree of ELT. This is by Hutchinson and Waters, 1987. This is the tree. So teachers would know this. English teacher will focus, we know that we're talking about ELT or we're talking about English language teaching. So this is the one that we have to cater. Learning from the bottom part until towards the end here. So ours is here, EAP. Right? So understanding this will take some time. So let me focus a bit on this EAP. I know it's not working, but let me get here. Right. That's on my own. Okay. Alright, so ESP, EAP. Looking at ESP, EAP, let's focus on the three. I think I'm moving backwards now. Jump straight. Yeah, thanks. Oh, this is even better. 2 minutes. Okay, continue a bit. Okay, so I'm focusing on ESP, EAP, looking back at what is English for specific purposes as well as English for academic purposes. So we have looked at the three ELT just now. Let's focus more towards from the three of ELTs now, which is this, talking about what is English teaching, and then we move into EAP, right? I'll be looking at this one. Okay, so I'm looking here at the ESP part. Under ELT, you go down and we go under ESP. And under ESP, you have the EAP, which is English for academic purposes. And under English for academic purposes, you have study skills, English for general academic purposes, and then you have the English for specific academic purposes. Now it becomes more focused. And then when we look at ESP, ESAP, Kepler mentions that introduced that the grouping of English for science and technology and liberal arts under the umbrella of ESAP. Now, ESAP refers to specific field of study, for example, engineering, medicine, computer, and nursing. So, being instructors, language instructors, we need to understand that what would be our focus and how we gauge on them actually. Alright, so more important in the epistemology of ESP, ESAP is that it must be context dependent, and it must be differentiated between the field of study courses, for example, like engineering as well as social science. Alright, so this is how Gladwell looks at ESP. So you have under the umbrella of ESP, you have EAP, and under the umbrella of EAP, you have ESAP, and now it becomes, divided into two, EST and liberal arts. Now you have science, technology, humanities, and social sciences. And engineering will park under here, under the EST. That's before engineering education. And then looking at this, let's look at Malaysia, for example, the technology integration in teaching and learning of in Malaysia. So we have the ideas way back from 1986. I think some of us would have felt the transition in 1986, whereby we introduced on the computer literacy pilot project. And then 1991, computer in education project. 1983, computer integrated learning system, and then go downwards until you have recently you have 2010 National Broadband Initiatives and One Malaysia Networks program. Right, that's where we have all these cheaper broadbands. And then lastly, 2012 Smartphone for Youth initiatives. I think some of us managed to get the 200 ringgit rebate on the, no, you did not. So am I did not that. Oh, you did not. That's shame actually. Alright, yeah, we're looking at it 2012. And then looking at the integration in a wider scope, this is taken from Supian. And then look at this. In 1960, this is our paper base. In 1970, off-campus paper base. And then in 1980, I think it's in between 1980 to 1990, you have the electronic base. Telephones, conferencing, radio broadcasting. I think that's why they have the idea of podcasts and so on, moving towards the year in the new millennium. And then I'm looking here actually. I'm looking here. 2000, 2010, we have that now just now. Between 2010 to 2020, we have this small word here. It's mobile. So we are here in the era of mobile learning. Alright, so that is where we should tag on that. Okay, but understanding that mobile learning, I think I'll just keep this one. Alright, I'll just keep this one. Right, Walker Tulsi mentioned and emphasized that mobile learning is not about use of variety of portable devices, but more on the learning across contexts. We have to look at that. In which, okay, next one I say that mobile learning is still in for Malaysia, right? And then, but the device that enables mobile learning are getting cheaper. I believe everybody is having smartphone nowadays, and none of us have Nokia anymore, or even Nokia also moving towards smartphone, right? And then internet access and broadband are ubiquitous. Even here we have, except that the scripted did not give us the passwords, right? And this calls for the understanding of the technology, in which I'm looking here. There's a framework for specific mobile learning language. Okay, mobile language learning in the case of English for specific purposes. That is where I'm going to take on, right? Move on a bit. Yeah, looking here, last part over here. Okay, for that, this paper presents the formation of ESAP, mobile learning elements for engineering and technical context in education in Malaysia. So that is the idea of reading this paper. So what's the objective of this study? Simple. This study was conducted to produce a context-dependent ESAP mobile learning elements. I want to know, we are developing, in fact, I'm developing the framework, but I want to know what is the minute part of it, the elements. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So, and looking at this, I'm using this methodology, fuzzy delta method. Some people had this, called that library study, and then they have questions, interviews. I'm opting for fuzzy delta. There are Delphi method, called that classic Delphi method, and then you have the modified Delphi method, and now you have the fuzzy Delphi method. Now the FDM, or call it FDM, approach was used in this production of VSP mobile elements. The FDM is a procedure of finding consensus among experts using questionnaire, and it is non-face-to-face. Basically, I'm using Google Docs. One of the experts is here. I will not mention the name, and he's just mine, right? And then basically, at first, I put up 18 experts, but only 11 committed to the project. And those who have done Delphi study, you know that the parts and parcels, the frustration of coming up and asking the experts to answer the questions. So I had the experience, but anyhow, when I changed to fuzzy Delphi method, it's only one round. I did not have to go all the 3 rounds or 2 rounds. Enough with 1 round, because all you have is a calculation of it. All right. Again, and then the experts are EAP, in the field of EAP. Basically, we're talking about English instructors who are very well acknowledged in the world of in the language in Malaysia. ID, instructional design, and the e-learning or the pedagogy, right? And yeah, I mentioned this now. This was conducted via online. So this is what I do. For the first part, it's not the first round, yeah. For the first part, I need to explain the issues, problem, and identifying the items. Okay, and then I do make a selection of the Delphi panel and prepare questionnaire. That will be the first part of it. Number 2, now when look at this, explaining issues, problem, and identifying items is basically you're doing your literature review. Read all get all the information regarding mobile learning. What are the things mentioned? What are the elements actually needed? And of course, pertaining to language. All right. And then second round, or point number 2, I distribute the questionnaire online after to get the consensus from the experts. And then, yep, we get the consensus, whether or not they agree or not agree, and I do the summary and the conclusion. Right, so this is what I get. For the first part, in which I do a lot of literature review, looking what are the things needed. So I have all this. I got 7 dimensions. I have learner, content, evaluation, technology, learning design, infrastructure, instructor, and learning space. These are the 7 elements gathered from the literature review. And then from each dimension, you have the, I wouldn't say, I will call it the elements. Okay, these are the elements taken up from the literature. Right, move on. Okay, so this is the first part that I sent out to the experts for the first round, and then these are the results that I get. All right, this is the first sent out to the experts with this. So in which I have, for example, for other learners, I have 4 elements. 4 elements, and then the content I have 3 elements. Learning space 4 elements. Learning design 5 elements. Instructor 2, 4, 5 elements, technology 3 elements, evaluation 4 elements, and in total, for example, all these, I have 180 indicators. Now you tell me how the experts feel when they receive question, 180 indicators, all sorts of answers, questions, emails, and so on. Right? So I had that one. So when I run the first round and using the fuzzy Duffy method, I have all these. Okay, so looking at this fuzzy scale first of all. So instead of, little scale, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In FDM, you need to break it down. So for example, if the expert give you 5, in the system, I need to put 0.6, 0.8 as 1. So basically, they have their own calculation, and it's all in the system. So not so much of crunching up the system, but it's actually filling in the answers. Okay. All right. So basically, from the fuzzy scale, this is what I had. This is one part of it. 180, and then I need to feed in all the data, and I have this. Towards the end, I have this. Right, so this is the result from the experts. For example, learner, instead of 26 indicators, I now have only 13. And content, I have 11. Learning space, 21. Learning design, 23. Instructor, 15. Technology, 30. Evaluation, 22. In a total of 135. Alright, so not just that. Suggestion by the experts, because restructure the sentences, some are confusing. You know what, by doing this fuzzy file, alright, I actually kills 2 birds or 3 birds. I'm not so sure in 1 stone. Okay, for example, number 1, I do not have to, this face validity, because when I send out to the experts are going to give the comments in terms of language and structure, and then of course whether or not this is supposed to be in the part of the questions. Okay, so basically that what I did there. All right, so this is one thing that I'm focusing here. The expert suggests usability because you don't have usability, all right? And then with that idea, but with the some of the answers given, examples given, instead of 135, I have 138 indicators. Okay, and this will sum up everything for the elements. So in total, in conclusion, I have 7 domains or the elements, and these are the indicators plus this one, plus 3. Total is 138 indicators. So this is the confirmation of elements. Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome questions. We have time for questions.
no question.
No question.
Previous slides. Yeah, okay.
You mentioned about usability was added towards the end.
Yes.
Don't you think that is a very crucial element in technology?
It is. It is.
The ability to indicate this.
Well, I'm talking here in the idea of creating the framework for mobile learning, framework for language ESAP. So basically, it's just to confirm whether or not the indicators are very simple. One of the questions is simple, will the indicators or will the elements actually enables learning environment? Something like that. That will be the question. Just three indicators to show that, oh yes, it can be work. I mean, it is workable in the environment. Okay, I'm not going in depth of this is not a system. If you're talking about system, I believe you're talking about system. Usability preferences is one of the crucial part of it. Any questions? No. Yeah, done. Thank you. I need to let's get it back, right? Using it. Who's going to use it?
Thank you, Mr. Azmi.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Let me help
Yeah. Okay. Done. Okay.
the certificate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation will be done by Okay, I would like to welcome Professor Hanafi Atan from USM, University Science Malaysia, representing Ms. Farah Muhammad Zain with the co-authors Efa Riza Hanafi, Zahiruddin Hassan, and Abdul Halim Sulaiman. The title of the paper is Relationship Between System Characteristic and User Motivation Towards the Use of E-Learning System Amongst Engineering Students of University Malaya.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. So the title of my presentation this morning is the relationship between system characteristics and user motivation for the use of the learning system among engineering students of University Malaya. So this paper actually, this research was actually conducted by Fariza, by co-author by several individuals. Anis from Malaya, Farah is from Malaya, from Science Malaysia, which is my PhD student. She is currently have to present the paper. That's why I'm representing her to present this paper. Then we have the Rugain of ADECT and from Halim also from ADECT. So basically, what we try to investigate here is the system characteristic and user motivations toward the use of e-learning system, right? Not working. Okay, have to do some manual. Okay, introductions. Basically, e-learning as one that deployed in Sumdaya is actually to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of teaching and learning processes. And the important aspect of such deployment is basically the acceptance by the student, adoption and utilization of such student. So, because such deployment require financial requirements, human resource, and so on, so it's very important to actually to predict or discover the antecedents for such successful acceptance and adoption of the system, right? So what happens is we want to predict what are the factors that will affect the student usage of the system. Okay, so the model that we use for the purpose of the study is TAM, Technology System Model. It's proposed by Davis. I think this is quite a well-known model and heavily used model as far as technology acceptance is concerned. TAM actually proceed that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use are the two important variables, the two determinants of the attitude of use, and then intention to use which can influence the actual usage of the system. So they have various variables interlinking between between them, and by the end of it, the actual usage of the system. Then very influential in predicting and planning the technology acceptance and many application and the claim for the testimony. It's a very simple model, so it's very well used. Most technology acceptance models, any system being deployed, one of normally use TAMs. So basically, there are two research paradigms on TAMs. If you look at TAMs closely, one paradigm is system specific, which includes system functionality, support system, right? So this paradigm assumes that the attribute of the system characteristic affect the user perception, which in turn affect the extent of usage. So the system itself influence the use of the system, right? The other paradigm is user specific. The user characteristic of the user influence the actual use. So meaning to say that the individual personality, such as intrinsic or intrinsic motivation. This is the focus of the group, focus of the research, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, optimism, innovativeness, and so on as the predictor to the usage of the system. So we have one system characteristic, the other one is individual characteristic. So basically, they have two as I mentioned, now we have two. One is individual characteristic. In this case, we use user motivation. Intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, whereas this is a system characteristic. They have system functionality, infrastructure, and technical support. So the proposed models, we propose that system functionality is correlated or have impact as far as intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation is concerned, as well as infrastructure and technical support, which in turn impact the system use of the system used by the student, right? So we put it here. The research model proposed that the system specific and user specific, which is in this case we are using user motivation, which in turn affect the actual system usage as you. So the user motivation is what user motivation? User motivation is actually a psychological feature that arouse individuals to act towards the goal. There are two types of motivation. One extrinsic and the other one intrinsic. Intrinsic is your internal motivation. Intrinsic motivation is construct that refer to doing something because it leads to some specific outcome, such as specific goal or reward. As such, extrinsic motivation influence individual behavior due to reinforcement of values. So that's extrinsic motivation. They have some extrinsic factors, outcome that enhance motivation. Whereas intrinsic, basically doing something which is inherent, satisfying, interesting, enjoyable, rather than some sort of a concern. It's your own. You do it for your own. You feel good about it, not because of some outcome or result. So you can see here, intrinsic motivation refers to performance or activity taken for no effort in reinforcement other than processor performing the activity, just for the sake of doing the activity. So we divided the motivation into two, intrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. And in TAM, basically, you divide it into two, perceived usefulness as extrinsic motivation. Perceived ease of use is intrinsic motivation. Sorry, repeat, perceived ease of use is intrinsic. Perceived usefulness is extrinsic. So the two different type of motivation. Okay. And then system characteristic, we put numbers of construct as far as system characteristic concerned, namely system functionality, infrastructure, and technical support. Okay. So we have 4 or 8 hypotheses. We feel that perceived usefulness, which is the extrinsic motivation, has significantly positive direct effect on the usage of intrinsic, meaning to say that perhaps they feel that they have term, and then there's some outcome of it. That's why they're using the e-learning. Perceived ease of use is something that they do for themselves, no? Which that also has significant impact, positive and direct impact on the usage of the learning system. System functionality has significantly positive and direct effect on perceived ease of use, intrinsic motivation. At the same time, the system functionality also have a significantly positive and direct impact on intrinsic motivation. So that's the first 4 hypotheses. Next hypothesis is the infrastructure has also positive and direct impact on the perceived usefulness. Infrastructure has also positive and direct impact on perceived ease of use. And similarly for technical support, have positive and direct impact on the perceived usefulness as well as perceived ease of use, right? So we have 8 hypotheses. We want to test those hypotheses, whether it can be supported or not. So we have a questionnaire developed for this study. We use perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness taken from the TAM model, Davis and McIntosh and Davis. And then the other measure, system functionality, support system, infrastructure, were captured and adopted from other studies. Right? So the survey has got 2 parts, A and B. The A is for demographic information, and it is a 7, and B is basically to get to elicit the student or the respondent perception on each of the variable. It's a 7 scale point scale. 1 least agreeable, 7 is most agreeable. In total, there are 6 variables with 44 items altogether. Right? So what we do reliability analysis first. We can see that the Grovage alpha coefficient, Grovage alpha is quite good, more than 0.7. So it's quite reliable. And then we administered the questionnaire online using convenient sampling technique. You use Google form and distributed to all the engineering students for this semester, in fact, this semester, second semester, 2014-2015 academic session. So altogether, 102 responses were collected. 32 responses were incomplete, so had to be discarded. So that left 70 valid responses. For statistical analysis, a valid response rate of 68.7 of the initial sample. So the analysis, what we did is we looked at the data from demographically first, and then we take a multivariate analysis involving correlation and multiple regression in order to test our research hypothesis. So demographic, basically this is the breakdown for each of the cause, and then it's a breakdown into genders. More male than female. And then this is distribution according to hours of usage of the e-learning in UM, and those are distribution according to CTPA. This is the correlation analysis. All variables are significantly correlated with the system usage except for infrastructure. You can see that this is not significantly correlated, others are correlated, right? So only infrastructure are not correlated. And this is regression. We do 3-level regression analysis. This is the first level. perceived ease of use with system functionality, infrastructure, and technical support. And then we take perceived usefulness, we run it with system functionality, infrastructure, and technical support. And then system SU is what SU system use, right? System use with regard to perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness. So we run three-stage regression analysis. The first one explains 75-70%, the second one 58.7%, and the third one is 9.3%. The most important thing is here, you can look here, the safety level should be less than 0.05, which can relate to a significant value. You can see here, this is the one that highly correlated, perceived ease of use with system functionality. Here, this one. And then this one, perceived ease of use with system functionality again. And then this one, okay, perceived ease of use with system use. Okay, so our result discussion basically, hypothesis 1 is not supported. Intrinsic motivation is not a predictor to the use of the e-learning system. Stage 2 is supported. Perceived ease of use, intrinsic motivation for the student, positively indirect effect to the use of the e-learning system. System functionality is supported. Right? System functionality is also here supported. So system functionality is the most important factors in predicting the usage of the system. The rest are all not supported. The infrastructure is not supported. The technical support also is not supported. It has no impact as far as the use of the system. So as far as user motivation and system use, mentioned here, H1 is not supported, H2 is supported. This is in agreement with many studies have done. But this one's, there are in contradiction with some studies, but because both studies found that perceived usefulness actually has some significance in explaining integrated system usage. But in our study, the intrinsic motivation is not have an impact to the system use. Okay, system functionality is very important because H3 is supported, H4 is also supported, which indicate that system functionality play a dominant role in determining the user intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, as well as system functionality is the strong determinant and predictor to student intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, which in turn would influence them to adopt, accept, and use of the system. So in any deployment or e-learning, one should look at the system functionality because those are the main important determinant or predictors to the successful deployment and usage of e-learning. Infrastructure is not supported, okay? And then technical support also is not supported. So whereas because this study is not supported, other study found it technical support has a positive relation to both perceived usefulness and perceived use, but in our case it's not supported. Okay. So as far as summary is concerned, we look at the system characteristic, we look at the user motivation. In terms of system characteristic, system functionality was found to be a strong determinant of user motivation, both intrinsically and intrinsic motivation and intrinsic use the system. So the result also revealed that intrinsic motivation play influential role in determining the actual system, but not the intrinsic motivation. Infrastructure and technical support play no significant role at all in influencing the user motivation. Okay, thank you. Question?
Any question?
No. Actually, this data triangulate with the previous data, the earlier data that I presented down there, which found also system functionality play a very important role for the user, what we call it, certification of use of the system. So we have another research which look at different dependent variables. This is different dependent variable, but both variable zoom that the system functionality is a very important role. Okay. Thank you.
I can present you next.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our last presentation for today. I would like to call again Associate Professor Dr. Rosalie to present paper Globalizing Hybrid E-Training to Personalized Learning via IMET Model, Universal Design for Learning. Co-author will be Muhammad Shanuddin Zakaria.
Good afternoon again. Okay, my presentation this time is related to the previous one. It uses the same model and the same method. So this one, this probably is a bigger study than the one I presented before. And the title for this presentation is to personalize the learning using the model that we used before, using the universal design for learning. So basically, we know that teaching and learning, the purpose is for us to get to achieve meaningful learning, and there are many traits, many strategies, and we can use conventional, but there are constraints. Thus, we use alternative method, and one of the alternative method is hybrid learning. Um, the one hybrid learning, the one that we use for this study, uses these 5 Web 2.0 among many of the Web 2.0 tools. And we use flipped classroom, where students, we have learning objects where students have to watch. This is using Dr. Mumper model, and okay, all of our learning materials, we link it to the university LMS. We don't use we have UKN uses iFolio, and but our contents are not in iFolio. We uses various other we only use iFolio during the first week, because all students are required to register via iFolio. When they haven't met us yet, the first class they will go to iFolio and see who will teach this course, the schedules. So we will have the first announcement. All students will have to introduce themselves, so that we know each other before we go to class. And when we go to class, we don't have to use up names. But when I first come into class, I somehow can at least recognize some of them. Okay, that is the first introduction. Then we uses a class blog. This is the educational technology course, where on the left we will have links to each of the students' blog, where the students will use reflection every time they feel, because we don't meet every week. So when we don't meet, even if we meet or we don't meet, they will reflect and summarize in very short sentences what they did, and they also have a group blog. Later I will show. Besides blog, we have classroom blog, student individual blog, and student group blog. We also have a Facebook for the classroom, because like 7 years ago, when we started to use the method, we call it problem-oriented, project-based hybrid e-learning. It started in 2006, 7, 8, sometime that time. where blog was heavily used by students. But later on, after 2009, they don't go to blogs anymore. They only go to blog if they receive notification from their Facebook saying that I have posted something in the blog. So I think starting 2009, we started to integrate Facebook into the course. So we have this is the classroom. I mean, the class blog. Besides the class blog, we also have like the blog. I mean, sorry, this is the classroom Facebook. The same thing like blog. We have three types: classroom, group, and individual. For the Facebook, also we have a classroom blog, and then a small group blog where students in with five or six groups, they have their own Facebook group where the facilitators and the instructors will be invited into the small group. Besides the large group where everybody discuss in the large group. The small groups only about what they do. Because we have a class project that sometimes they don't want others to see their progress. So this is some of the activities they do. This is an uh, educational technology course where students, one of the group project is to produce videos. So this is the activity where they do storyboard and scripting for the video that they will have to produce. And I think this is their group blog or individual blog. No, this is one of the reflections from the individual blog. Okay, so after they finish their storyboard, they will have to present their storyboard and we give feedback to their planning. Then only they will go for the production phase. Okay, these are the lesson plan, and these are the I think this is the individual log. So if you can see what I one of the method is the students, they feel the effective element is important in teaching and learning. Okay, so to to achieve meaningful learning, we use Jonason's model where we try to plan teaching and learning so that we can integrate the five attribute of meaningful learning. Although the latest meaningful learning have 8 or 7 or 8 meaningful learning attributes, we thought even the 5 attributes is not very easy to achieve. So if we can have at least these 5, it will be good for the students. So these are among the, because we do flip classroom, we only spend 10 minutes when I go to class. We have 14 weeks class. Each class we only have like 5 or 10 minutes lecture, recap what they have discussed in the Facebook or in the blog. Usually not in the blog, because blog is just reflections. Mostly we discuss in the Facebook group. Then they come to class. This is our classroom, our lab, computer lab. So one of the project is to do video production for tourism or something like that. So what I'm showing now is the elements of the 5 attributes. This is the first attribute is intentional. Whatever project they do, they have an intention, like a learning outcome for the project. And then the next one is, this is constructive. They always will be, when they do the production, they come back, they edit, that is constructive. And then they do active. There are lots of activities for to achieve the active attribute. Then authentic, they use various tools. They go to, like, this is for building. We learn building photography. We take the students to Putrajaya. They learn long shots, different shots, and all kinds of shots for photography. And okay, that is for students to achieve meaningful learning based on the 5 attributes. Besides that, we also use the strategy, the problem-oriented project-based hybrid e-learning for the sake of the students. I mean, for not only for the students, but also for the instructors and facilitators. We have one coordinator, we have 3 lecturers and 5 PhD students. The students will change every semester. I mean, as the not every semester, because PhD students every 3 years probably they will change. But it's like for new lecturers, it is very helpful because as content are there, they just adapt, add or reuse. So okay, so we collected data from the students about meaningful learning, how they perceive meaningful learning. So like before before we test for meaningful learning, we collected data to see the learning style of the students, not only in sensory like visual, auditory, textual, and kinesthetic, but we also test about whether they prefer group learning or individual learning. So we test on sensory and also on social learning. So these are the constructs, group learning, tactile, kinesthetic, and all that, for to see the learners' learning style preference of the students, whether or not their learning style contributes to the process of learning using hybrid e-training or hybrid learning, which consists of content, delivery method, structure of the system, service, and outcome. So we found out there's a minimal, not a minimal, because to have a good effect, it has to be at least 0.2 according to structural equation modeling that we use. Okay, so we were not very satisfied, so we try how about if we connect it with meaningful learning. So this is another test. We try to connect whether learning style and whether there is a relationship between the 3. So it shows here, like the study those who were here before, you see Atif's study, he also have adverse effect for learning style, which shows that those who would like to achieve meaningful learning using hybrid e-training, um, if directly, if you learn directly without using the hybrid, it has an effect, it contributes, but it has a negative direction, meaning that only those students who can adapt to teaching style can not uh, will those students who can adapt will achieve meaningful learning. Okay, but those students who can adapt and use hybrid e-learning, uh, that means they achieve meaningful learning via using hybrid e-learning. There is a substantial contribution to achieve meaningful learning here. Okay. So after getting the result from this model, we further the study to design various. Not only the students contributes to the learning objects. So the design is so that we to avoid the old Superman syndrome. That means to to um, to do things. How do I say? It's the Superman you wear. You have your costumes outside. I mean upside down. That means after you get your product ready, then only you realize you have it the other way around, and you want to correct it is not easy. Okay, from the beginning, that means when students do, sometimes they just do brute force method, just do production without without thinking, spending more time on learning. So that's brute force way. So what we are trying to implement is to align the theory, the content, the strategy. We think about how we want to deliver and which method we will deliver, besides designing only the content. In terms of video, we intentionally decide that all video, because the students have to produce videos. All the videos have to be less than 9 minutes, because according to ADEX, I think this EDX video, they did a study on the videos that they have there. The maximum the students can focus is 6 to 9 minutes or less. If more, the attention will go down. So we use this template to design not necessarily MOOC courses, even for OER or OCW, Open Courseware, or Open Educational Resources. So they plan using a template like this, and they also have to plan the shots, middle shot, long shot, close up. This is the template that we will give them to design. And besides, video is only an object. So besides producing video, they only have to produce video, but they also have to think where the video will link in the whole one session of the course. Okay, so these are things that they have to think about. We now go, moving towards using only one or two reduced elective learning theory, where we combine and take the best of each theory. Content, this is problem-oriented project-based learning, where students have to think about all this in order to achieve meaningful learning when delivering their products. And all the products that the students' content will be user-generated content that we as instructors will use back in our teaching and learning. So as time goes by, the content will be richer and richer from time to time. Okay, so we also have to think about behavioristic theory, cognitive theory. These are the traditional theory, and think about behaviorism versus constructivism, humanist learning theory, social learning theory, adult learning theory, minimalist learning theory, cognitive learning theory. And last, the latest, the most current theory that they need to integrate into their objects are the connectivism. And we don't have time, but I have, you can just search Josh Simmons connectivism. Okay, I think I showed this. Design of a learning system. We are moving. This is Hanafin and Peck, very old model, very simple, easy to follow. And this is Eddie, where everybody use, but the trend is moving away from Eddie. This is even I think this is in early 90s, and we uses all those theories. We integrate. We take the best of each. And all those theories are integrated into here, but we add the feasibility study, we take out from needs analysis, and we add the model development. That's why when you see every product we do, we will test, we collect data, and we model. And after we model, we see if it's still feasible to use the same model, we do. If not, we will maybe every few years we will change according to the model. Okay, phases in design and development, feasibility study, need analysis. This is from open learning. They have very good articles in it. I just cut and paste and have it here. 5 things instead of videos to make your MOOC extra awesome. Not necessarily MOOC, any online learning. Without video, we can have good, great course also. So maybe you can look in open learning. It's a good platform with good contents. Not only the MOOC contents, but they have extras besides that. Okay. These are from open learning. MOOC design tips maximizing the value of video lectures. When we see videos, sometimes there's some typical video lectures, but there are a lot more. You can look at the open learning contents here later. Okay, these are from open learning. I just would like to share. Maybe you can read it later by yourselves. Okay. So that's phase 2. Now this is phase 3. System design. System design, we design, we develop, we implement, then we do maintenance. If something wrong, we do, and it's a circle. And then, but the previous models, they don't have model development. So we have, at the end of the cycle, we do model development. If it's still relevant, we continue developing the same. Otherwise, we will adapt to the new current needs, user needs. So this is Eddie. Alan and some advocates says we should leave Eddie for Sam. For faster, better learning product development, you can also read this book. Okay, now implementation. Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. We have great plans in Malaysia. People are using our plans and we don't implement what we do great, like our blueprint. They are very great, but other people use our plan and from Halim can say Korea uses our Malaysian blueprint. They are a developed country. Okay, so last phase we do while we evaluate. When we evaluate, we have data. We not only evaluate, we also do. Usually, we evaluate to maintain our system, but besides evaluate to maintain, we also do modeling to ensure what we do is still relevant. So I forgot to translate this. Tapi semua Malaysian except Cecil and Sis, but they can speak Malay. Okay, so with that, I end my presentation. If there's any question or I'm in between your lunch break.
Any question?
Oh, okay, tak tahu. Okay.
Thank you,
Um,
Mr. Doctor. Certificates. Thank you. Right, lunch is served at the Tanjung Ria, at the lobby. And for those who would like to go for the tour tomorrow, please register yourselves at the Kimanis foyer, and as well as the